Have you ever wondered how a single event could plunge the entire world into war? It sounds like something out of a movie, but it actually happened. Let's travel back to June 28, 1914, to a city called Sarajevo. This is the story of the assassination that lit the fuse for World War I. Our story centers on Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He wasn't just any royal, he was heir to the massive Austro-Hungarian Empire. Imagine an empire that covered huge parts of Central and Eastern Europe, ruling over many different ethnic groups. Franz Ferdinand was next in line to lead it all, on that fateful summer day. He and his wife, Sophie, were on an official visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina, now. This region was a recent and controversial addition to their empire. Austria-Hungary had annexed it just a few years earlier, in 1908, and not everyone was happy about it. In fact, many people there, especially the Serbs, deeply resented being under foreign rule. This made Sarajevo a hotbed of tension, a real powder keg waiting for a spark. As the royal couple rode through the city in an open-top car, the atmosphere was thick with both celebration and simmering discontent. They were part of a motorcade, waving to the crowds lining the streets. But hidden within that crowd were a group of young men with a deadly mission. They were nationalists, part of a secret society known as the Black Hand. Their goal was simple and radical: to break away from Austria-Hungary and create a new, independent state for all South Slavs, a nation that would later be known as Yugoslavia. The day started with a failed attempt. As the motorcade passed by, one of the assassins threw a bomb at the Archduke's car, but the driver saw it coming, sped up, and the bomb bounced off the back of the vehicle. It exploded under the car behind them, injuring several people. The would-be assassin was captured, but the royal procession was in chaos. You'd think after a bomb attack, the Archduke would immediately leave the city, right? But Franz Ferdinand was a stubborn and principled man. He insisted on continuing with his planned schedule and then wanted to visit the people who had been injured in the bombing at the hospital. This decision, born out of a sense of duty, would prove to be fatal. The revised route to the hospital was not clearly communicated to all the drivers. The driver of the Archduke's car took a wrong turn, finding himself on a side street right where another one of the assassins, a 19-year-old named Gavrilo Princip, happened to be standing. It was a 1 in a million chance. Princip had thought the attempt had failed and was likely getting a sandwich at a nearby deli. Seeing the royal car stalled just a few feet away from him, he seized his moment. He stepped forward, drew his pistol, and fired 2 shots. The first hit Franz Ferdinand in the neck. The second struck his wife, Sophie, in the abdomen. Within minutes, both the Archduke and his Duchess were dead. The news of the assassination sent shockwaves across Europe. Austria-Hungary was outraged. They saw this not as the act of a lone gunman, but as a direct attack orchestrated by their neighbor, the Kingdom of Serbia. They believed, with some justification, that Serbian officials had helped arm and train the assassins. So, they issued an ultimatum to Serbia, a list of demands so harsh that it was almost impossible for Serbia to accept them all without surrendering its independence. Serbia agreed to most of the demands but refused a few key points. For Austria-Hungary, this was not enough. On July 28, 1914, exactly 1 month after the assassination, they declared war on Serbia. Now, this is where things get really complicated, like a massive game of dominoes. Europe at the time was a web of complex alliances, pacts made for mutual defense. When Austria-Hungary declared war, Russia, which saw itself as the protector of all Slavic peoples, including the Serbs, began to mobilize its massive army to support Serbia. This alarmed Germany, Austria-Hungary's main ally. Germany saw Russia's mobilization as a threat and demanded they stop. When Russia refused, Germany declared war on Russia. But wait. It doesn't stop there. France had an alliance with Russia. So, when Germany declared war on Russia, they knew France would likely join the fight. Germany's war plan, the Schlieffen Plan, called for a quick strike to knock out France first before turning to fight Russia in the east. To do this, German troops needed to march through neutral Belgium. This act of invading a neutral country was the final straw for Great Britain. Britain had a treaty to protect Belgium's neutrality, and they also feared a powerful Germany dominating the continent. So, Britain declared war on Germany. And just like that, within a few short weeks, a regional conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia had spiraled into a full-blown European war. The Great War, or World War I, had begun. It's crucial to understand that the assassination wasn't the sole cause of the war. Europe was already sitting on a pile of dry tinder. There were intense rivalries between the great powers, a frantic arms race, fierce nationalism, and competing colonial ambitions. Tensions had been building for decades. The assassination in Sarajevo was simply the spark that ignited the whole thing. It was the catalyst, the final, fatal push that sent millions of young men marching off to a war that would change the world forever. It led to the collapse of four empires: the Austro-Hungarian, the German, the Russian, and the Ottoman, and redrew the map of Europe. It introduced new and terrifying technologies of warfare, from machine guns to poison gas, and resulted in unimaginable casualties. The story of Gavrilo Princip and Franz Ferdinand is a powerful reminder of how a single act of political violence can have consequences far beyond what anyone could have imagined. It shows how a complex system of alliances, designed to keep the peace, can actually do the exact opposite and drag nations into a devastating conflict. The world before 1914 and the world after were completely different, and it all started on a street corner in Sarajevo with 2 gunshots. It's a sobering lesson from history that still resonates with us today, reminding us how fragile peace can be. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this piece of history as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what historical event you'd like to see covered next. See you in the next video.